Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We're here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm here with one of my co-hosts, Krusty. It's not been on for a bit, but it's
Hi,
good to have him
everyone.
back.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not 100%, so I'll try and stifle my coughing, but I apologize if I do. But I didn't want to leave the main man Fisher on his own,
Yeah,
and I've been keen to get back onto this and chat about SmackDown and Raw. Yeah, really excited to do that.
yeah. So obviously, our format recently, we've been doing WWE pod and then an AEW pod separately. So if you're unfamiliar with that format, then that's how we've been doing it. And on this particular one, we're not even going to mention NXT. I may mention I may do a separate solo pod tomorrow where I cover NXT and AEW together, hopefully. But yeah, so it's been a bit of a hectic week and illness and things as well. So we'll do a WWE only main roster pod today and quickly go through that and cover everything that happened on SmackDown and Raw. No news really that's major enough this week to talk about. The last 2 weeks, actually, we've had news break about half an hour before we started recording. So it's been really fresh to talk about, but nothing of note really today. So we will go with SmackDown to start with then. So the start of SmackDown was Michael Cole in the ring. I nearly said Adam Cole. It might be a bit all over the place today. With introducing Pat McAfee. So he came into the ring and cut a nice promo. Talked about how the audience had to put up with listening to Corey Graves for 2 hours last week and Happy Corbin for 17 minutes. I thought that was a good little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
I thought it was a fire promo. He covered a lot about their history in the NFL, which
cool that they've got that history, really, isn't it?
It is. The match makes so much sense now. I mean, it's a good match anyway, but with the history added into it, I think it makes it a really cool match for them to do. And I'm glad they played into it. I think they can do even more. I mean, we've only got 2 SmackDowns to go until SummerSlam, but hopefully they can do a little bit more to build into that history and play into it, I think. But yes, then so that was good. And then Corbin came up on the screen and he said he's staying away from now, but he'll see Pat at SummerSlam. It was quite a short promo, but I thought it built their feud relatively well because the thing is they can't really build their feud with much wrestling because you're not going to have Pat wrestle a match or taking many bumps. Really, I know he took that one beat down at the start, but they're not really going to do much physical until SummerSlam itself. So I think just cutting these little promos and telling the story is a fine build for this match.
Really. No, I think it's good. And to be honest, Corbin was not in ring for months and months anyway in the Madcap Moss thing.
Yeah.
In the build to Mania, so it's not like we're not used to not seeing him wrestle.
And I think it's fine when you're building up 2 people to have a match in a big pay-per-view that neither of them wrestle in the build-up because sometimes they do stupid stuff and have one of them losing and things like that. I don't mind if they have them wrestle when they're winning, but sometimes they don't do that.
I think beat downs and fire promos are the way to go.
Yeah, that's absolutely
definitely
the way I see it too. And then Pat ended the segment after playing up to the crowd by introducing Liv Morgan for the next segment, which made it flow nicely, I suppose. And then we got Liv versus Natalya as a match to kick off the first sort of match on the show. The match was decent enough, I thought. Natalya got some offense in, a couple of near falls here and there, sharpshooter on the apron at one point. But Liv ended up hitting a recoil and then the Oblivion to win the match, which was fine. And then Kayla interviewed her afterwards saying that she beat Natalya. Sorry, she says Ronda beat Natalya in more dominant style, and then but she's the underdog, and she prefers being the underdog. So and she'll still be SmackDown Women's Champion, basically. What did you make of the whole match and segment here? It was just okay for me.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't bad, which is good. To be honest, at one point, if I saw Natty on the screen, I was like, oh, I'm really not interested.
I think she's been okay in the last few months.
Really built up, I think, since that
NXT run. I think the NXT
in fact,
run.
You're right. When she came back on NXT, that did it. Yeah, that really did.
Yeah, I remember Keeney giving her the top mark one week, and I just never thought we'd see the day we'd give Natalya a top mark. But Yeah, yeah. Since that run, I think she's
She's better as a heel,
yeah. Oh
which
yeah.
is weird. I didn't think I'd
And
see
she's
that.
actually working alone more, which is weird because obviously she was with the tag team with Shayna Baszler before, but she hasn't really been doing that recently. And actually,
Where is Shayna Baszler?
I mean, she's
Not even been on screen.
she's not been on much recently, has she?
No.
Then we got a little interview with Theory, talking about listing all his enemies. Interestingly, Paul Heyman then come in and basically hinted to him not to cash in on Roman or Brock, and basically say, I'll arrange a match for you on the big stage rather than you taking Roman by surprise. But Theory basically declined that and said when he does win, he'll be hiring a special counsel for himself, basically.
I must say, he gets bad press as Theory, but I think he actually plays this amazingly.
Yeah, yeah, because he's so genuinely dislikable, it works in a way that people want to boo him and they want to see him fail. Whether he does fail or not, I don't know. I mean, I've got a feeling he will.
It does feel like it, doesn't it?
I feel like it's set up for him to fail at the moment, but we'll see, because he could hold it for months and months and months.
I'm thinking he's going to attempt to cash in, but not do it, or something's going to come out of it. Vince gets involved, cancels it out.
I've got a funny feeling we might see something happen in the show we're going to see live, which could be very interesting, because I don't think it's going to happen at SummerSlam because they've talked about it too much. Yeah, it's too obvious. So I think, and then the big show after that is Clash. And I think they're going to want something big to happen on that show. It wouldn't surprise me if he either attempts it or teases it or something at that show and something happens major there. I would like it to happen. Not necessarily for him to cash in and win, but something to happen with the briefcase live, because that's something I've never seen before in person. So that would be different.
Yeah, be awesome.
So yeah, that was good. And then we got what I thought was the Viking Raiders. Now I wasn't a fan particularly of this segment. The Viking Raiders music hits, and it's actually the New Day dressed as the Viking Raiders, doing impressions of them. Their impressions.
I thought this was quite amusing, actually.
Yeah, it was funny in parts, but we've seen the New Day do this quite a few times before. I like Woods making references to Assassin's Creed and Thor and things like that. That stuff was good. And then the Raiders come out, and it's basically a trap set up by the baby faces, which I don't know is a bit of a mixed thing. But
Jinder in the baby faces.
Jinder and Shanky come out. So yeah, and then the Viking Raiders retreat. There wasn't a lot to this segment, was there? There was not a lot to it in terms of, obviously, previous weeks the Viking Raiders have been getting the better of the New Day every week, and here they use the numbers game to stop that, which is generally a heel thing to do, but I get it.
I think it's quite good in a way because it puts over Viking Raiders as just really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. And it also makes the New Day not look totally stupid because they got back up. Too often baby faces just take the beatings and take the beatings and take the beatings every week until, they're basically destroyed. But the New Day sort of fought back a bit here, which I don't mind that either. So it's okay. But I feel like they're dragging this out a long time for what's probably just going to be a random match on SmackDown. I don't think they're doing this match at like SummerSlam or anything. So they've been building this.
You might get it on the pre-show.
Maybe.
Because they like New Day, don't they? They like New Day on the pre-show.
Yeah, although they haven't.
Or on the show, sorry.
I don't remember the last time they actually did a pre-show match. So I don't know. They haven't been doing pre-shows.
Did they not do it at Mania?
I don't think they did matches.
I think we moaned about it, didn't we?
They did like a 2-hour show with no wrestling on it. It's just chatting. So yeah, I haven't been watching the pre-shows recently because there's no wrestling on them anymore, which I think's a bit silly, really. But then people did moan, whoever was on the pre-show, people used to moan, oh, they're only on the pre-show. So you can't, in a way, you can't win. But
no,
yeah, this is the kind of match they could have put on a SummerSlam pre-show, though, I agree. So that was fine. Then we got an interview with Gunther and Kayla Braxton. And then Gunther basically said he was chopping Ludwig last week because losing is unacceptable and has consequences. Ludwig is getting another match next week with Shinsuke Nakamura. And Gunther just started going absolutely mental, screaming at him German, and then chopped him again. I love the presentation of Gunther at the moment. I think
it's insane.
I actually think it might be the best thing on SmackDown right now.
They're making him out to be an absolute beast.
Yeah, he just looks so badass. And yeah, they're using I'm glad they're using the chop like they are. I feared on the main roster they'd just be like,
just lose it.
You know, maybe he'll do it in the matches occasionally, but they wouldn't make a big thing of it. But it feels like that is still his main thing. And I love it. I love him shouting in his native tongue. Like I like it when they do stuff
heel,
like that.
Isn't he?
Yeah, I really like the build they're giving him. Hopefully they keep it up because it's made the Intercontinental title interesting again. I'm obviously this is leading surely to Nakamura versus Gunther because I'm assuming Nakamura will beat Ludwig again on SmackDown, and then the match will be set up hopefully for SummerSlam. But I again, it wouldn't surprise me if they just do it on SmackDown. I'm hoping they do the Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam. That would make it feel big.
It should. I don't see why they would. It's going to be a big card, so I think there's enough room for it.
I think there's
even if you have a quick 5-minute match where Gunther absolutely destroys Shinsuke.
Yeah, absolutely. You could do that.
Puts him over, get some serious boos going.
I think not Ludwig, Gunther as well. He's the man for like the big shows. I feel like it's great that he's wrestling often, but like he feels like he used to be anyway in NXT UK, particularly. He used to wrestle on the big shows, didn't he? He didn't wrestle weekly, but then on the big occasion. So him wrestling at SummerSlam would be great. I hope he wrestles at Clash. That would be a dream for me. I mean, I've already seen him. We did see him at. I
think he will just because he has come from NXT UK.
Yeah, so I think they're going to have a lot of the European guys on there.
Yeah,
I think you might see Sheamus and stuff on the card. I think you might see
definitely,
Balor on the card.
It's going to get the pops, aren't they?
Yeah, I think, especially in WWE, they view Europe as kind of like almost one area, and then America as one area. So I think we will see quite a lot of European guys, I think, on the card, which I'm all for because most of them are great. So no problem with that from me. Then we got what was scheduled to be Aaliyah versus Lacey Evans. So Aaliyah got pied again here for the second week in a row.
Poor old Aaliyah.
Poor Aaliyah. But I will say that we're finally getting a clear character direction for Lacey Evans.
Yeah, I much prefer this. I almost think they didn't know what to do with her at first.
Yeah, they didn't.
They tried with the face, didn't they? And then realised actually this isn't getting over.
Yeah.
And you know she's going heel because she she called people nasties again.
Yeah.
Which I love it when she calls people nasties. This is the Lacey Evans I want, being an asshole, basically. I think this is when she really plays her best character.
Yeah, I think she's played the part pretty well so far. I'm glad that that's finally clear what she is, because like I say, I think before
we hated it originally, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a mess before when
it was so cheap the way they were trying to get her over.
They switched her brands and then switched her back. Like they were really making a mess of her presentation and her character. I just had no idea where it was going. But yeah, now at least it's clearer. Then we got a pretty quick match between Drew McIntyre and Ridge Holland. I liked the bit at the start where Butch randomly found a hammer and rang the ring bell, and Sheamus was pissed off. But it was quite a quick match, basically distractions from the Brawn and Brutes. But then, interestingly, again, Drew using Sheamus's moves in this match. He used the 10 beat to the Bower, and he used the white noise as well.
I can only think this is coming down to a feud, but then possibly a tag team run.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of talk of, they were meant to have a number one contenders match, weren't they, a couple of weeks ago to face Roman at Clash. Now, I think we've all been assuming that it's going to be Drew in the main event of that because he's from the UK. But a way they might do it is have Sheamus versus Drew versus Roman. I could see them doing that. And then also, if Roman was to lose the title, he wouldn't have to take the pin, which I can also see them doing. So I don't mind if they do that, because I can see them dragging it. It feels like they're dragging this Drew Sheamus thing out a long time. I don't think the match is going to happen at SummerSlam. It might, In fact, it probably will. But
it's a big match to have them in the same match, isn't it?
yeah, I think they might think, look, these. I mean, Sheamus is from Ireland, not technically the UK, but Ireland, Scotland. Let's put them both.
It'll
in, like,
still be
the
a
main
big
event.
deal for him, won't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting. But yeah, I want to. I'm just intrigued to see where this goes because they've kind of been teasing Drew and Sheamus teaming a little bit. They did it in the Money in the Bank match, didn't they?
That could be awesome as well. I'd happily see them be a tag team.
I would,
especially if Drew doesn't win the title.
Yeah, I was going to say I would, but then Drew sort of seems like the logical guy to go for the main event scene at the moment on SmackDown. So if you put him in a tag team, the problem with that is you kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit.
I think the way it could be done definitely is Drew is in the main event, like you say, maybe with Sheamus, wins the title off Roman by Roman not taking the pin. And then at some point, whenever it is, Theory cashes in on Drew.
Yeah. But
because they won't want Drew to hold it too long.
I think that's the thing that if Theory is going to win it, that's what would make sense. I don't think Theory should be cashing in on Roman. I think Roman should be losing and putting someone over properly when he loses. He's been champion for so long. I don't think a cash in from another heel is like...
Be pretty mad, actually.
I don't think it works.
We're there, you get the huge pop. Drew has just won.
And then Theory...
Absolute raw.
And then Theory cashes in.
He celebrates, so he gets his moment, but then he gets cashed in on.
Yeah. And either he loses the title or the Claymore and Theory just gets battered. Either way,
Sheamus helps him and hell of a show. Him.
But yeah, that match was okay. Then we got, speaking of Theory, we got him versus Madcap Moss here. Again, Paul Heyman involved here. Really good stuff from Heyman. He was basically saying that he will give Madcap Moss a title match if he takes out Theory here, because obviously Theory has that briefcase and Heyman is seeing him as a threat right now. But Moss kind of just ignores that. They had some really good wrestling here. Two guys that are kind of upcoming stars really in WWE have been pushed. Newer guys that have been pushed. And the match was okay, but then it got DQ'd, didn't it? With Theory using the briefcase to smash him over the head.
That shows that they still think highly of Moss.
Yeah. I think they do.
He's
like
not taking a fair L, is he?
No, he doesn't really. I quite like what they've done with Madcap Moss. They've made since he's dropped the stuff with Corbin, they've really done well with him, I think. Then Theory was cutting a promo on the ramp. Sami Zayn comes down and says he should apologise to the Tribal Chief. And then basically Sami Zayn's arm's in a sling. And Theory says, what are you going to do? You've got one arm. And then the Usos come out to actually back up Sami Zayn. But were they? Because they had a match. I like the fact that we didn't really know. That was quite interesting.
I absolutely loved this bit. Absolutely loved it. I just thought that scene, I know what you're saying about we're not sure whether the Usos were coming to rescue him or not, but I just think it's so badass when they walk out behind and the music drops and then he has to back off. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Got beaten up by Moss, didn't he? So
Theory got beaten up by Moss. Then there was, just before we get to the main event, there was a little video for the Maximum Male models. They're doing beachwear next week. The interesting thing about this was they've got Maxine Dupri joining.
Yes.
Who
do you think that is?
Well, I've got a pretty good idea. Now, this person would make a lot of sense, so I hope it is her. And that is the fashionista Ginny from NXT UK, because she is dating Gunther. She's now she's not been on NXT UK for a while. She is in America because I saw a picture of Gunther and Ginny the other day, because obviously she wants to. So he's calling her up to the main roster, putting her on the same brand as Gunther makes sense from a logistical point of view.
Yeah.
But also her character is the fashionista. So her being in the model group makes total sense to me.
Yeah, definitely.
So it should be Ginny, hopefully. I hope it's not someone else.
Get over.
I mean, I think she could. I think with Max Dupri in there as well, I think it's a good combination. I quite like Ginny. I think she's good. I don't think she's going to be very known to this audience.
No, not at all.
Because she's not even been on normal NXT.
She's very good on the mic though, so I think she could become known quite quickly.
I think her and Max Dupri could be actually a really good combination.
Yeah, definitely.
So I that's my guess. I'm not 100% sure. I've not heard any news sort of hinting that it's her, but it's my hunch that it would make sense. There could be other people on the roster that could be, but it doesn't really make any sense it being someone that's currently on the roster, because they'd have to change their name to Maxine Dupri out of nowhere. So for me, it has to be a new person to SmackDown. It can't just be. You can't just go, oh, it's Aaliyah. Last week she's Aaliyah. This week she's Maxine Dupri. You can't do that. So, and it's not going to be anyone massive like Bailey or anyone like that returning, is it? So it's good. I think it's Ginny. I think it is.
Good guess.
And then we got the main event, which was Jimmy Uso versus Angelo Dawkins. This match was decent enough, but I'm a little bit bored of just seeing them wrestle each other every single week. The match at SummerSlam will be good. The match at the last pay-per-view was good. The tag team match was great, actually. But they don't need all these singles matches continuously in the middle. I'm getting a bit bored of the feud.
It's nice seeing actual Dawkins in the ring, though.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the match itself was fine. Sami Zayn was on commentary. He was doing a good job on commentary as well to make it quite interesting. He was basically saying that he should be the special referee for SummerSlam. And that he'd call it right down the middle. Obviously, he wouldn't be, but that's good heel stuff. And then we got the reveal at the end. And for me, this just was completely out of nowhere and random.
So it's a special guest referee. Yeah, Jeff Jarrett. How random is that?
Yeah, I don't really understand why he's there. He's not in any storyline reason with the Usos or the Street Profits. So for me,
is the city that it's in or anything like that?
I think it is to do with. I think it's where he's from. Yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure. I'm not even 100% sure, but I think it is. And obviously he is signed to WWE. They want to do something with him, but yeah, for me they could have made it way more interesting than Jeff Jarrett. Way more interesting. So I was a little bit disappointed actually.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going to happen here. Is this a way for the Usos to lose?
Potentially. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to go. I have no idea where Jeff Jarrett is going to lie in his.
And he's wrestling the day before, isn't he?
I think it's the day after, yeah. Because SummerSlam's the Saturday, and then he's wrestling Ric Flair's last match on the Sunday.
I was going to say he could be absolutely tooped if he was wrestling.
No, it's the other way around. It's the day after. He's teaming up with Jay Lethal to face Ric Flair and Andrade in a random tag team match, which apparently is Ric Flair's last match, but the crazy old man may well wrestle more. Who knows? Let's talk about Raw. Let's move on to Raw.
Raw is war.
So the start of Raw was a bit weird and a bit controversial with Titus O'Neil in the ring. Happy to see Titus, like Titus. But the content of his promo was a bit weird. It felt like it was there for some PR thing, nothing to do with the show. Yeah, I didn't get it.
It was a bit strange, wasn't it?
Yeah. I didn't know what to make of that. Again, he was in his hometown, so they just wanted to put him on TV. But I thought the content of the promo was strange. I thought they could have used him better here.
He could have fallen under the ring again. Yeah,
they could have done a comedy spot with him, or a backstage promo, or interacting with someone on the roster, something like that. I didn't get this sort of PR spin stuff. I didn't really like it. And then the show started properly with Becky Lynch cutting a promo about trains, which sounds rubbish, but actually it was Becky Lynch and she made it work.
She's so good.
Yeah, exactly. She can make most things work. And then the predictable thing happened. Bianca Belair come out, Carmella come out. Carmella makes the point.
It's good how they seem to have thrust Carmella back into this top of the league, which is weird because she was pretty awful when she was with Zelina, really.
Yeah, and she was in the sort of 24/7 back in this 24/7 title hunt. I thought because she teased the feud with Dana Brooke at one point, and then it didn't happen. But yeah, I thought that was where that was going. But yeah, she's been in the main event, and her matches. I mean, you weren't on the pod last week, but I remember speaking to you about it. The match last week with Bianca, I thought it was awesome. An excellent match with a bit of a dud finish, but The match itself was really, really good. This match I didn't think was
shone
quite as good,
No.
but it was still decent. The match before was better. They kept teasing the count because the stipulation here was because obviously Carmella won by count out last week. So the stipulation here was if Carmella win again by count out, this time she'd win the belt. Which I don't mind them doing that, but it ruined the match a little bit because all it was Bianca on the outside getting in at the last minute. It was overdone a little bit, and in the end, Bianca got in and hit the KOD. And then Becky picked up the title and dropped it at Bianca's feet afterwards. So I think that is Carmella done for now. I predicted it might be a triple threat last week. I think I said that on the pod, but I actually think that's wrong now. Carmella's not getting added to this match. She's done. She was beaten fairly clean in the end here, wasn't she? So
yeah.
But it was good. It was a good little run for her while it lasted. But yeah, Becky versus Bianca at SummerSlam, isn't it? So.
Yeah, the story comes to a pinnacle.
Yeah, and I like the fact. I mean, it might be just pure coincidence, but it's a year since the match.
Well, I think that's what Bianca was talking about, wasn't she? She was like, "This is my story."
Yep.
My year to not. She said something like, "Not the Becky return from Mania or something." It was my SummerSlam story. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Then we got there was a little bit of the Street Profits talking about Jeff Jarrett. That just set up a match with Amos for later in the show and an MVP. Then we got KO returning finally to Raw after a few weeks off. I was really happy to see him because it's felt a little bit flat with people already missing, like Cody, for example. KO was needed on this show. KO show with Riddle. Interestingly, it looked like they're moving on from KO versus Ezekiel because he was basically like, I'm over it now, which I'm not sure how I feel about because they didn't wrap the story up, did they? It felt like it.
No,
it was. They were meant to have
that,
though. They were meant to have the match to qualify for Money in the Bank. They dropped it, and then they just haven't. I don't like it when they do that though.
No.
I get it was because KO got injured, but it wasn't for long enough. They could have brought him back and still done it. So basically, Kevin Owens here offers Riddle help, wants to form Bro KO.
I liked that. Bro KO is awesome.
In order to help Riddle against Seth. And Kevin Owens made the good point that of all people, because he said he couldn't be trusted. Kevin was like, you trust Randy Orton of all people. The Viper, which I thought was a good point from KO. Then Riddle got angry after that. Seth's music hit, snuck up behind Riddle, hit them 2 stomps.
Yeah, I enjoyed that bit.
Rollins interviewed afterwards, called Riddle stupid. And then Ezekiel come in and basically set up a match with Seth later on in the show. Which, again, Seth's wrestling more on Raw, which I like. But unfortunately, it seems to be against the same guy all the time, which is Ezekiel. He's wrestled him a couple of times now.
They're running out of people, aren't they?
Yeah, that's why I was glad KO's back because I think they're missing quite a few top guys on Raw in particular at the moment. Obviously, I think we'll talk about it in a minute, but I think we're going to get Edge back maybe next week, which I think will be massive.
It's definitely needed.
Yeah. So Judgment Day come out. Damien Priest said he's confident Dominic will join the Judgment Day. Then you got a match between Rey Mysterio and Damien Priest, which was a pretty good match. Really liked the finish. I liked the fact. I mean, I said this last week. They're finally booking the Judgment Day better. I thought Balor looked awesome last week.
Yeah.
With his match against Rey, and then the coup de grace pointing at Dom, saying this is how it's done, and then Damien Priest just destroyed Rey here. Really.
I still can't get out of my head that Edge should be there, even with them two.
Yeah.
Even with Balor and Priest, he just looks so cool in the middle of them. But they're definitely feeling more important again now.
Which I think they have to do because I'm pretty sure they're building up for Edge to face them. And if they didn't build them up, it would be silly because it's an Edge match. You've got to make Edge's opponents look good in the build-up. Otherwise, what's the point? But yes, afterwards, Balor went to get the chair. They went to do a concerto, which again is an Edge thing. They say they'll stop it if Dominic joins the Judgment Day. he says, yeah, okay, I'll join. But it was the most unconvincing thing ever. Dom's not a particularly good actor here anyway. And obviously in kayfabe, they saw through it as well. So they then just beat them up. Next week, we've got Rey Mysterio's 20-year celebration taking place at a big show at Raw in a Madison Square Garden, where they normally do
big stuff.
You know, last year at Madison Square Garden, I think we got an Edge Seth Rollins match, which was a banger on SmackDown.
Yes, that was amazing, wasn't it?
And we got stuff. I think Brock might have wrestled or something crazy on it as well. Like there was some big stuff happened on it, and I'm pretty sure next week we're going to get the return of Edge, because we keep getting them vignettes, but I think we're going to get Edge finally return next week. I think we're going to see Judgment Day beat up Rey. Dom's going to be torn on whether he's going to help or not. We might like tease a Dominic heel turn, but he won't actually turn. He'll probably get beaten up as well, and then Edge will make the save and probably set up Edge and Rey versus Judgment Day for SummerSlam, which I think will be a great match.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see him. Surely he's got to come back this week, has he? Or do you think they'll wait until SummerSlam?
No, yeah, I think he'll come back and make the save on the Madison Square Garden show, and then he'll challenge them to a match at him and Rey versus.
It's going to be awesome to see what his character is.
I'm assuming him and Rey. Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I've seen some people suggestion maybe he's going to bring his own faction with him, or he's going to bring someone else with him. I don't think he will. I think he'll come back on his own and he'll just help Rey Mysterio. That's my feeling, but I don't know. could go the other way. Then we got Seth Rollins versus Ezekiel. The match here was good. I think Ezekiel's been given a good account of themselves in these matches and as an in-ring wrestler. I know people like Elias as the character. They like Ezekiel, his comedy role kind of thing, but I actually think he's pretty good in the ring as well. He's really solid.
Yeah, he's not bad, is he?
Yeah, I think when you put him in there with someone good,
but...
I think when you put him in there with something good, you can get a really good match out of him. Mm-hmm. He maybe looks average against average people. I think he's one of those people that is decent, but the level of opposition you put him against can raise his level. Yeah, there was some nice wrestling here. Good knee strike from Ezekiel. Seth got a really good superplex, Falcon Arrow near fall. And then eventually Seth hit the stomp to win clean. But yeah, good to see. I know you'll be a fan of Seth picking up wins on Raw, because
he needs to.
We were criticising that in the Cody feud.
Yeah, I know. I just think it's building for him to get a loss, though. That's the only thing.
It could well be to Riddle. I don't mind him losing if he wins a few matches in the build-up. I would prefer probably Seth to beat Riddle, but I don't know where either of them go afterwards, because I don't think either of them are challenging for the title. Riddle's
problem is
basically
both of their stories have been messed up by injuries.
Yes.
By other people's injuries. So they are sort of in a bit of a lull.
Yeah.
I think it would make sense for Seth to beat Riddle here, and then maybe they go on to have another match
at Clash.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that live in person as well.
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah.
I'm really excited for that show, because I think we're going to get some banger matches on that show.
I hope so.
I really hope so. I think the card will be good. I hope
they need to impress, don't they?
And hopefully some fresh. I know that's a rematch, but hopefully we get some fresh stuff as well. And I'm not talking about Tyson Fury or something like that coming back. I'm on about, like, you know,
he's
matches we haven't had.
Don't you?
Oh yeah, he's going to be there, 100%. I just hope he doesn't actually wrestle. Anyway, after that we got Omos versus Dawkins, which turned into this. I nearly gave him a skip mark actually, until another segment happened, because I didn't like the fact they did 2 DQ finishes here. I hate it when they do that in the same segment. So they did Omos versus Dawkins. Didn't last very long. MVP tripped Dawkins up and they called for the DQ. I was like, okay, so they're setting up a tag match. Fine. Adam Pearce makes the tag match. They're having a decent enough little match. And then there was another DQ because the Usos caused the DQ, which was lame. I don't understand why they didn't just have MVP take the pin here. Because MVP's not
I was enjoying MVP in the match, though. He was enjoying himself.
Yeah, he was doing his balling thing.
Did that little elbow, yeah.
Yeah. I like MVP.
And he got a 1 kick out.
Oh, yeah, he kicked out 1. But yeah, he should have just took the pin here, because he's barely a wrestler anymore. He's mainly a manager. It made no sense. to do the double. Yeah, I really didn't like the double DQ. I was down on that. There was some stuff on this show that I did not like, and that was one of the bits. We then got Theory versus AJ. So Theory's all over the shows at the moment, isn't he? He's on both of them. He was getting what chance, but what I liked is the way Theory handled it. Twice he told them to kind of shut up, which I didn't mind at all. Started listing all
I think
his
when
haters.
you've got to heal this style, what chants are okay. I think the problem is when someone starts watting a baby face or
or just someone that they
a
don't
real serious
not interested
promo,
in. Yeah,
Theory, I think they're doing it just as a pantomime in a way. It's like people are enjoying, and he's playing off it.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
I think in this instance, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but I get it in this instance. Yeah, he lists a lot of it. He lists a list of his haters. He seems to be feuding with everyone. He listed Madcap Moss, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley.
I think that's what he needs to do. Just piss everybody off.
Yeah, it feels to be where they're going with it. He's like got so many people after him. AJ finally come out. I thought they cut a really good promo between the two of them, actually. Theory made a good point about sort of him being the youngest United States champion. AJ Styles took a long time in his career to get to the top.
Maybe this could be a play. Sorry to sort of interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Maybe the fact, he's got so many enemies. Actually, this comes into the cash-in fail or prevention, maybe not fail, but a prevention. So he goes out, and then Ziggler comes out, and Moss comes out, or something like that, and he's like, you know what, I ain't doing it, and then walks off in a strop because everyone's trying to interfere with him.
I am very intrigued by the Ziggler thing. We'll get to the Ziggler part of it in a minute because I loved it last week. We kind of just got more of the same here. I was hoping Dolph was going to cut a promo and explain why he's doing it or something. But yeah, so they had an okay match, which ended with, obviously, Theory slammed AJ onto the announce table. AJ rolled into the ring, and whilst the ref was checking on him, Dolph hit the super kick, and then Theory got counted out from that. AJ hit the Styles Clash. It was okay. But yeah, like I said, I'm interested because I thought we were going to get a little bit more from Dolph. It was basically a repeat of the same the week before, wasn't it, really?
Keeping the mystery.
Yeah, I'm intrigued as to why he's doing it. It does feel very random. And I'm excited to see Dolph as a face, though. It's been so long. And I loved his babyface runs previously. So I'm very excited for it.
What's happened to Big Bob, though?
Yeah, it's a shame for Robert Roode. He did work on the, apparently in some house shows and dark matches as like a babyface with his glorious entrance. So if they bring that back, glorious, thing, then great. Glorious. But I just don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't think they particularly see him as someone high up the card at all, which is worrying, to be honest.
Big Bob. So
that was all okay. Then we got a long video package with the history of Becky and Bianca, which I thought was actually really good. That did quite a lot to add fuel to the fire in their feud. And then we got the segment we were going to rant about.
Let's get skiddy.
Yeah, this was a definite skid mark. So you had a 6-woman tag team match: Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and Dana Brooke versus Doudrop, Nikki ASH, and Tamina. Now already I'm thinking, why is this match here? Because
I was annoyed straight away.
Yeah, last week they did a tag team match, and it was Asuka and Alexa versus Doudrop and Nikki. So they'd already done those 4 in a tag match. Then they
I was also thinking, how is this a main event?
Yeah, because it basically wasn't it? And
Doudrop, Nikki ASH. It's the main match.
I actually think the last hour of this Raw was one of the worst hours of Raw we've had in a while, because you had the double DQ with Omos and Dawkins thing.
Yeah.
Double DQ. You had this segment. Okay, fit the Theory stuff with AJ. That was okay. And then you had this, and then Miz TV main eventing it, which wasn't bad, but it didn't feel like it should be a main event thing. So yeah, I thought actually the last hour of Raw was pretty bad. But this was the worst thing. So this starts off with a 6-woman tag, but then straight away I see Akira Tozawa and I'm like, oh no, because then it's turning into a 24/7 title segment, and then it's the same thing happens every time. They all win it, and then the champion pins them back and they win. So Dana Brooke was the champion. They take it in turns to pin. Dana Brooke wins it back and gets away. And the worst
Anyway,
part
this could have
about
been
it,
remotely interesting. I think you were about to say it.
yeah.
That you say it, and then I'll say what I was going to say.
Well, about Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
So Alexa Bliss had the title, which is bad in the first place because it feels like a low down card. But then she got pinned after 10 seconds as well.
I think the only way it could have been saved and gave me some sort of interest is if Alexa somehow kept that title.
Yeah.
I know it's a low card, but it gives some form of prestige about it, doesn't it?
I was shocked because they kept Asuka out of it, which is good because that means they like Asuka enough to not put her in the embarrassment. I think they should have kept Alexa out of this.
It was a lazy booking anyway, the fact that they just said, oh, we don't know what to do. Let's just lob them in a massive tag team.
It was
tagging
Oscar
and Alexa with Dana Brooke, which is just so random.
Yeah.
And I'm bored of Nikki ASH and Doudrop already. So
yeah, because
I didn't want to see that. Throwing Tamina in doesn't help.
No. And then weirdly the match continued. And then Asuka just pinned. Oh no, she got the Asuka lock in, on Nikki, and she tapped out.
Yeah, just in the middle of it, just randomly carried on, didn't it?
Yeah. This was an awful segment. Absolutely dreadful.
I thought they had to wait for matches to end before they could attack the 24/7 champion.
They normally do that.
I think that should wait
rules
in any match.
Yeah, they normally suspend the rules. If they suspend the rules, then that's great because you can have Dana Brooke actually wrestle a match without any nonsense in it. But they didn't do that here, and it was crap. I got nothing else to say about it. It was
that was super skiddy,
and it's a double skid match.
I think you said something to me when I watched it. I can't remember how you described it.
Yes, I said it wasn't just a skid mark. It was like, I won't go into what I said.
Full on shit pants, I think you said.
Yeah, it was worse. It was worse. It was worse.
Which made me laugh. So I think it was worth bringing up.
It stank, put it that way. Then we got the main event, which I actually didn't mind, but like I say, it's not really.
It was okay.
I prefer matches to main event the show, to be honest. And not the women's match that did main event it, obviously, but a match to main event. Miz the TV with Logan Paul. I actually thought Logan Paul held his own on the mic here. I thought it was quite good. So props to him. I want to give him credit first of all. He made some good references here as well about, people have always written him off, say he's not very good, but he always kind of proves people wrong, whatever he does, anything he's gone into. And he's kind of right in a way. I know people don't like it, but he does do well at everything he puts his mind to. And he obviously works his ass off. And, you've got to admire that in a sense.
Definitely.
So I liked the promo between the two of them. And then we got the silly stuff with the tiny balls and all that kind of stuff that you get with Miz stuff at the moment. But eventually, so Miz, the first 2 times, turned down the challenge, but then accepted it in the end. The tiny balls was the final straw. Ciampa tried to attack him. Logan Paul escapes. And then, Miz accepted the challenge at the end. It was okay, but it didn't feel, again, I know it's Logan Paul, and that's why they had it as the main event, because he's not really been on Raw much, and he's like an outside star. But to me,
the good thing is now we know he can do some all right stuff in ring, so I'm relatively looking forward to it, I suppose, in that way.
Yeah. I don't think the match is going to be a classic by any means, but I think it'll be okay. And I think Logan Paul on the mic has proven himself. Even thing is, I fully expected him to be a heel, because it makes sense that he'd be a heel because people don't like him. But they're using him as a babyface, and actually here I thought he seemed quite all right. Which was that it took me by surprise a little bit. But that's basically everything that happened. I actually thought it was a pretty weak double week there. But I thought SmackDown was okay. There was some okay stuff. But like I said, I thought Raw was really quite poor this week, especially the last hour of it. Really.
I can't disagree with you.
Wasn't, considering I think Raw's been a much better show than the SmackDown. and probably NXT in the last few months. Yeah, the last couple of weeks have actually not been very good. And that's a bit worrying because it's a build up for SummerSlam. But hopefully next week's show, I think, has the potential to be good because it's a Madison Square Garden one. Roman Reigns has been advertised for it. I think we're going to get Edge return on it. So I think we're going to get some big stuff next week, hopefully, to talk about. I won't be here on the pod next week, though, actually, but you guys could talk about it. And then we've got SummerSlam coming up after that. So, yeah, exciting times. But that's it for this week, really, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Like I say, I'll try and do a separate pod for AEW and NXT tomorrow or something and get that up on our YouTube channel. So yeah, follow us there. If you're listening on the podcast, find us on YouTube, like and subscribe our videos there. We have other type of content other than podcasts on there as well. So there's plenty to look forward to on the channel. And yeah, I've been Fisher. That was Krusty, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.